Hey everyone, and welcome back to Anthem Central. My name is Matt, and welcome to 20 things you guys probably didn't know about Anthem. Now obviously, this list is a little tough to create since there isn't that much info at the moment, so if you are a hardcore fan, you may recognize a couple of these things. But my goal here was to generally try to cover as many things as I thought were very unusual, and kind of keep you guys interested with some stuff that you likely haven't heard, no matter how much of a fan you guys are of the game. I did a lot of digging for this. So with that being said, everybody, let's get right into it. So starting off, Fort Tarsus is actually based off of Tarsus, Turkey, which is an area in ancient Turkey which is actually a very important stop for traders and emerging civilizations. The spelling is slightly different, you know, Tarsus in Turkey being spelled with a U and Tarsus in Anthem with an I, but the meaning is kind of the same, which I think is actually very interesting, and you do see that Anthem seems to have taken some influence from the actual location in Turkey, because in Anthem you'll actually be able to go there and show off your javelin and your skins and whatnot and socialize. All this cool stuff will be able to happen at Fort Tarsus in Anthem, and it seems that historically this has followed a similar trend, so it's nice to see some interesting influence there in the actual namesake. In case you were wondering, Anthem will not be a split-screen game. I'm not quite sure why you would want to play this game split-screen, but it has been kind of a reoccurring thing for casual gamers across history, so in case you were wondering for some reason whether or not you want to play maybe with a sibling or one of your parents or something, if you guys happen to play with a lot of people in your house, unfortunately, there will not be a split-screen option for Anthem. Again, I don't think that's that big of a deal. Most people just kind of spectate these games and watch one person play, but what I would recommend, honestly, is just getting a second console. They're not that expensive anymore. You could probably get a pre-owned PS4 for around $100 nowadays, so definitely go ahead and get one if you're interested, you know, in playing with some more people. And if you were upset about the lack of split screen, you may also be upset at the fact that Javelin eye color cannot be changed in Anthem. I know, very random, right? But it is something I thought was kind of unusual considering there is so much customization currently for the Javelins, yet the eye color cannot be changed. I know, kind of weird. It may also be possible to play with the same account on two platforms in the future. I know if you guys were looking forward to maybe playing on your PS4 and then, you know, in a couple hours switching to your laptop, you guys should be able to do so in the future. They weren't planning this at launch, but obviously this seems like something they could possibly hint at to be added in the future. And I think this obviously is a good goal to try to go with, because all you, I think, would have to do is, if I'm some type of reasonable person here, I would say you do the same thing that you'd have to do for the demo, and that is just sign in on your Origin account. So if you guys do that, maybe in the future they'll add that feature. It is also that you can get possible exchanges of loot in the future. This is something that people have been asking for a long time, if you can go and trade loot with your buddies and stuff, but in the future they might implement, you know, some type of trading feature. I'm not exactly sure how it would work, but I do believe that would be a good idea. I'd hope it would be within limits, because then all you'd have to do is buy the game and have some, you know, friend of yours that plays the game all day and gives you all your stuff. So I'd be very, very careful about that. You don't want to remove the skill gap completely, but I think it might be a cool idea to implement. The demo download will be on the 23rd of January, so if you guys are ready for the VIP demo, which is from your pre-order, all you guys have to do is sign into your Origin account, plug in your code, and it's really on the EA website, but you have to get the Origin client, because once you do so, you plug in the code, of course, and then all you have to do is sign in on that same account on your PS4, your Xbox One, or whatnot, when the demo application goes live on the 23rd. The actual demo will go live, the actual content will go live on the 25th. For those that didn't know, XP curves and coins will be buffed in the demo. You'll be given, I think, 100 free coins. Each outfit is roughly 10 or 20, and the XP curve will be present because they want you to get a good feel of everything the game has to offer, which I think is kind of neat. And generally, they don't really want you to kind of stall and struggle with this, because the game only has 30 levels. And although that sounds like a very, very low amount, what people aren't realizing is that Anthem will be a very sort of immersive game that I don't think they're going to let you just finish immediately. They've said multiple times on Twitter that they don't plan on the game being terribly long nor terribly short. So again, 30 levels is all relative. You know, it could be 3,000 levels and the game could finish sooner. It all depends on what you qualify as a level and how long it takes approximately to actually get through each level. In case you're interested in storylines, romance will not be in Anthem, only friendships. This little discussion happened last June, and they basically asked whether or not there'll be any type of love stories or connections in Anthem, and they said that basically no, there's going to be only friendships, which I think would make sense in this post-apocalyptic world. I don't think any of the characters will have time for that. The enemies are the Dominion, who are led by a character called the Monitor. We know very little about him, and really very little about all of the enemies in Anthem at the moment, but based off of their political ideology, they seem very dictator-like in nature, and believe that what they're doing and controlling people is for the greater good. So that's all that we really know about the enemies at the moment. I know you've heard the name Shaper Storms a lot, and if you didn't know exactly what they were, Shaper Storms appear to be either some type of like dark matter or some type of portal into some parallel universe. That's really all that we know at the moment, and when you go there with your javelin, it takes you to another location which they haven't disclosed. All it is some type of warp, some type of fracture within space and time, and when you go into a Shaper Storm, it should be some type of alternative way to farm loot and kill enemies and stuff, so it should be something fun that we will learn more about in the future in terms of the actual lore side. The Corvus organization is actually a very shady group that subcontracts projects to the freelancers, and there are a few Corvus sort of members that you see in the beginning of the game, and you guys will kind of learn more about them as time goes on. The only weapon that we actually have a picture of at the moment, besides of course the Legion of Dawn pre-order weapon, besides that, the only one that we actually have is Jara's Wrath, which is a level 35 legendary Volt Rifle. The other weapon, which we saw with the Legion of Dawn, of course, the pre-order trailer, that thing really won't last you very long, and I think from what the devs have said is that you will get kind of old, that will get kind of tiring very quickly, and this Light of the Legion gun is going to get pretty old pretty quick because you won't be able to use it as you get into later levels. So the only actual sort of substantial weapon, at least I believe, is Jara's Wrath. The Legion of Dawn was actually the first javelin ever created, and it resembles a very primitive looking ranger, and I believe that people said before you go to level 2 in the demo, before you get there, you will be using the Javelin of Dawn. It's essentially a primitive ranger. It's there in the game now in sort of a way to help you teach the controls and to learn kind of the way the game works, so I wouldn't say that this is a very good javelin to use, but I would say that of course the javelin that you start with will resemble the Javelin of Dawn, the first javelin ever created in this universe. This game also takes a very large influence from Greek mythology, and you can see that in many ways, and it's kind of interesting to me that you see all these different kind of historical cultural influences in Anthem. I do believe that this is something worth seeing because the Dominion came from the north, and they have Furies and Valkyrie and Frosthounds, and people who are experts on this stuff say that this kind of relates to certain types of mythology, which I think is actually very cool. Now, we haven't seen any Grandmaster gameplay yet, which is kind of interesting because this is the game's highest set of difficulty. And I think that in order to kind of gauge the way this game will progress, how you actually decide to play it, and whether or not Grandmaster is something worth playing on, I think that is all something you guys will have to kind of take a look at in the future because we haven't seen any of that gameplay yet, which is kind of interesting. Hopefully they will reveal that sometime in the near future. PvP may also come at a later date. For those that are wondering, PvP is something that a lot of the devs have said that they may add, of course, and we've been doing those debates on this channel for a long time, but it is something that they have said that they would consider adding in the future. Anthem uses a Frostbite 3 engine, which is one of the most advanced current engines. A lot of the new Battlefield games run on this, and it is definitely a very beautiful looking engine, and one of the better ones in comparison to some other stuff that we've seen. One of the most noteworthy examples that we've seen is the Call of Duty franchise, which runs on a very old modified Quake engine, which is just hard to imagine to me. So it is nice to see something new and fresh being used for Anthem, and you could tell from watching the gameplay, man, the movement, the design of it looks and feels just so fluid in those trailers, so definitely something to keep in mind. Anthem began development in 2012, but due to studio complications, the game took a little bit longer, which would have been kind of interesting to see, because again, the technology really wasn't where it is now. They wouldn't have been using those next-gen consoles, and it definitely does look like something to me that would have been a very different result had they started and finished it back then. So thankfully, we've had up until now to look forward to this game. Anthem devs have promised us free DLC. This is probably a little bit more well known than some of the other stuff on here, but it is something very good to know that this game will have free content. They have said that. They said all you have to do is spend the $60, get the game, and that's it. Now obviously, whether or not that will fully pan out in the future will have to be left to the side. I don't exactly know, but from what they have said, their promise, their vow, is that all you have to do is spend $60 on the game and you'll be constantly supported and constantly cared for in the future. Now, obviously, as I said earlier, of course, I wanted to remind you guys again, the VIP demo starts on the 25th. There will be a live stream on January 14th if you guys are looking at some new gameplay. There has been recently a new live stream looking at the open world gameplay over on IGN. Definitely go ahead and take a look at that stuff, guys, if you haven't already. I think you might be interested in it, of course. And if you are looking to play the actual game for the first time in early February, there will be the open demo. That being said, everybody, thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate all the amazing support on the channel as always, guys. I mean, really just incredible. It means so much to me, everybody. That being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you guys are new, drop a like, hit that sub button, join my Discord, link down below in the description. That being said, my name is Matt, and I will catch you all on the next one. Peace.